Hello, everypony. Prince Alagorn of Aquilonia here, and I did promise that I was going to show my stuff off after convention. So, let's see what I got for swag. Hold on just a second, and we'll get started. First of all, let's open up the con exclusive shirt, shall we? And yes, you can basically consider this a long, overglorified unboxing video, even though most of this shit isn't in boxes. Okay. Ah! Shit. Hold on. I gotta readjust so you can actually fucking see it. There you go. Yep. Date and location. The C2E2 logo with flying muffins. And in their airplane, you have Doctor Who's and Derpy. How could I not get this? This is awesome. It was either going to be this or the Invader Zim shirt, which was equally awesome. But yeah, no, there's no way I was going to pass this up. Can't get a hoodie. I already got a hoodie. Granted, it's 4 years old, but I got a hoodie. And it looks good. And hold on just a second. Fuck you, Norton Security Scan. I did not need you to pop up on the screen like that. Good thing I'm in webcam mode instead of actual, like, screen recorder mode, because that would have been awkward. Well, I still got the camera angled down like this. Let me show you another shirt that I got. Bam, baby! DJ Pony in his house. Okay, I'm way too white to be saying that. I apologize. But yeah, no, you can't really get the best look at it. But yeah, vinyl, looking gorgeous with some bright neon and dubsteppy and excuse me, I have a cough again. I don't know where the fuck it came from, but it's back. But anyway, yeah. I love the logo. The only problem is, this is what Tommy Scradden uses when he does his recordings as vinyl for the logo. Would have been nice to have the dash there. That would have been able to at least claim separation. And if you don't know who Tommy Scradden is, just look up official DJ Pony or Pone3 on YouTube. You can find him on iTunes, and I think he's also on SoundCloud, but I'm not 100% sure. He is the best dubstep producer in the Brony fandom. He is one of the best musicians, period, in the Brony fandom. He's also very, very good at making, like, deadmau5 style, how did I forget this? I was going to say tech house, but no, it's not tech house. Tech house is something different. It's not deep house either. It's prog house, progressive house. There we go. Yeah. In fact, those recordings are really good. You should listen to Scradden's the prog house productions, because they are fan-fucking-tastic. But he's most known for his dubstep, which is the heaviest fucking dubstep you can imagine. Like, Like, shit that's at least on par with Flux Pavilion in terms of just redonkulous brutality. But might actually be a little bit better because his bass, I think, has a better sound than the squelching burp that is Flux Pavilion's bass. Which is not to take away from Flux Pavilion. Flux Pavilion style is very unique and it works for them. But Scradin likes to throw like every kind of bass you can possibly imagine into one mix. Like you have actual wubs, like the woo 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 woo. You have the that kind of wub. You have the kind of like Skrillex drops and stuff. And oh god, he is so good. But yeah, his logo with vinyl makes sense. Now, let's get on. Let's readjust the camera. I have no clue how I'm going to show off the big print that I got today. That's going to be a bit of a challenge because this screen is very limited in space. That print is like 11 by 16 or something like that. It's long. It's very long. And I'm probably going to have to move this to the end of the bed, set it up back here, because I can't even scan it into my scanner. It's too big to scan. So that's going to be a little bit of a trick to actually show that off. But I want to show it off because it's fucking awesome. Also, there might be a little pause as I go downstairs to get the rest of the stuff. But maybe not. I think the pause function on this recorder actually works pretty well. So we'll see. Anyways, let's move on to what I got from the Funimation booth. Because they were in town and they had a lot of stuff. And I didn't know what I was going to get. I was thinking, once I looked through, was thinking maybe get something from the Evangelion reboot. And get Danganronpa, which was really going to be my thing, but that's still $60. Same thing with the newer Lupin the Third series about Fujiko, which I have seen that and it is very good, but it's too much. Same thing with the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. Too much. $55. But they had some older stuff on sale for very reasonable prices that I could not pass up. That's not the right one. I will get to those in just a second. Okay, here we go. Chrono Crusade. A gun-wielding nun with magical powers tied to a demon that fights demons. Of course, if you've seen the series, you know that there's a stipulation that comes with that relationship that just makes the ending really, really hurt. It's I want to say bad, but bad has the wrong connotation to it. It's just devastating. Let's leave it at that. And I'm not going to spoil what the actual ending is. You can figure that out on your own. And also, if you're a fan, if you have an Xbox 360 and you have this game, you probably already know Tales of Vesperia. I actually don't have a 360, so I have no clue about the game. But I've been seeing shit about this on the internet for years, and it looked interesting, and I like me a good fantasy anime. So I was like, $25? Yeah, I'll grab that. That looks good. Now, we get to some more DVDs that are actually really, really interesting. Well, I don't know about the DVDs themselves yet. I haven't sat down and watched them, but the people behind them. Channel Awesome was in town, and I got to meet Rob, Doug, and Brad. And yes, they are as cool as you think they are. And if you're a fan, and you're also a critic yourself, and you happen to tell them that, they go, well, I wouldn't say they go gaga, but they really appreciate that you appreciate what they do. That it inspires you to do your thing. So, I got the newest Cinema Snob DVD, signed by Brad, addressed to me, and, of course, the Nostalgia Critic Reloaded, signed by Doug. And Rob. And Rob signed it too. That's awesome. And seriously, if they're ever in town for a con in your area, go see them. They are very nice people. Okay. Now that that's done, let's get to what any good Comic Con is all about, and that's the comics. Well, I also got some other books to show off too. But now we get to the actual reading material, which is why you go to a Comic Con anyway. And again, after this point, there might be a small edit, but we'll see. We'll see how seamlessly this blends together. Okay. And let me just reach across and get all this shit over here real quick. Fuck. Hold on. Okay, this isn't exactly working out as well as I thought it would. Hold on just a second. And we are back. And as I was saying, let's get to the good stuff. Okay. And just so you know, so I don't have to bring it up, I also have the first volume of this Battling Boy spin-off series, which is The Rise of Aurora West. Okay. Yeah. First up is The Fall of the House of West, which is part of Paul Pope's Battling Boys series. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the series. I've been interested in it for a while. The original graphic novel looks very good, especially if you're into, like, son of a god becomes superhero kind of thing. But I haven't actually given the series the full try yet, and this seemed like a good place to jump in with Battling Boy's kind of friend, love interest. I don't quite know what she is to him, but I do know she's a linchpin character in the series. And yeah, there's been 2 volumes about her as a prequel to the first one. And next up, we got ourselves an interesting series that, again, I have not read before, but looks awesome. The concept is amazing. Princeless from Action Lab, written by Jeremy Whitley. And I not only got that first hardcover volume, I got Volume 2 and Volume 3. I did not get Volume 4 or the spin-off Raven, Princess of Pirates book, because money. But yeah, basically the concept of this series is in a fantasy land, a princess who has had her sisters kidnapped gets basically fed up of waiting for some hero to come and rescue them, and decides to, with the help of a friend, to sneak out on her own and do it her fucking self. Yeah, I love that concept. I love tough brawling fantasy babes. I like inverted fairy tales. This is both. That automatically catches my interest. And it's an all ages book. So, girl power. And beat the crap out of, princesses beating the shit out of knights. Yay! Okay. Next up, not much to say about this one. This is just an older publication that the Comic Book Legal Defense thing put out. That's a basic introduction to manga. Again, not much to say there. We'll be getting to those in just a little bit. Now for something that I've been wanting since I heard the announcement of, but I have not seen it yet. And that's this. The Avatar The Last Airbender / Legend of Korra. Basically, guidebook. It's called Legacy, and basically what it is it's supposed to be like a journal or scrapbook that Aang makes for Tenzin, and serves as kind of the fill-in for what happens in between ATLA and LOK. And yeah, let's take a look inside. That's an advertisement. I don't need that. But yeah, it's got your typical pull-out kind of insert things. Like, here's a field guide to... Oh, might help if I turned it right side up. A field guide to the animals of the ATLA world. And there's some comics in here. Something about the 100 Years' War. Character guides. Information on the air temple. Oh, a waterbending chart, which, yeah, as you can see, waterbending is, of course, based on Tai Chi. Oh my gosh, I just noticed this. There's a postcard from Ba Sing Se, where there is no war in Ba Sing Se. And information on earthbenders. There's a whole lot of shit here. The Kyoshi warriors. That even mentions Ty Lee being a Kyoshi warrior. Information on the Fire Nation. Yeah, so yeah, this looks like it's packed full of shit. And this looks like it was a good buy. Bam! The guide to Heavy Metal the movie, which, if you have not read Heavy Metal magazine, there's a reason they call it the premier actually, I don't remember the exact tagline, but It's something about it being the premier fantasy, illustrated fantasy, and it's the birthplace for Mobius. Let's see here. Richard Corbin worked there. There's been a bunch of people that have worked there. Kevin Eastman currently owns and publishes it. Excuse me again. But yeah, in the early 80s, they made an animated movie featuring several characters and new characters based on characters from the magazine. And yes, it is a comic magazine. It's an anthology magazine that prints fantasy and sci-fi comics. And yeah, the movie is amazing. It's one of the first American animated films to dabble with anime kind of stuff. It's an anthology, so there's like 5 stories, and one of them's probably guaranteed to tickle someone's fancy. My favorite, of course, is the epic ending sequence, which is the Legend of Tarna. Tarna is a wickedly badass female warrior, and she's gorgeous, and she's mute. She never says a word through the entire segment, but her facial expressions speak volumes, and it's glorious. And if you have not seen Heavy Metal, something is wrong with your life. You need to see that. Don't watch Heavy Metal 2 because it's an original Eastman story written specifically to give his wife a voice acting role, and it's not a bad movie, but it's just kind of sort of it's not essential to watch. The original one is essential to watch. Top to bottom, it's great. Next up, the Fate Stay Night art book. As I said, we are going to be playing this game. I wish we could play the entire series at once, but that's actually a lot of games and a lot of different styles, actually. But yeah, the game is so fucking pretty, guys. Like, if you've never played it, if you've never seen the anime, it is so pretty. I mean, I'll just open random pages for you and just show you. Like this. Like this, yeah. That, or any random page will do. That, or I want to find something that's just big and splashy and like all saber. There we go. Some of the pinups. Yeah, look at this with written in saber. Oh, it's so good. It is so pretty. And when I saw that, I'm like, I have to have it. And it's in English. I have to have it. Speaking of things that you absolutely have to have if you're a video game fan, Hyrule Historia. Like, look at how thick this damn book is. How many pages is this, anyway? Actually, less pages than I thought. But, yeah. No, it's... Skyward Sword advertisement. Akira Himikawa. But yeah, like, all the information that you need. Oh, yeah, it actually is a 32-page comic based on Skyward Sword. And don't worry, yeah, technically you're supposed to read it this way. You're supposed to read it backwards. Because it's in English, but it's in Japanese layout. Which actually is the norm for publishing Japanese comics these days, and I'm very thankful for it. Because it used to be they flip it to American style, and while everything still reads right, it just doesn't feel right. In order to experience a manga truly, you have to at least read it in Japanese orientation. That's what makes it authentic. But yeah, no, here's the premiere book written with Miyamoto's help that details the entire history of the Zelda franchise. And even in the early chapters establishes the official chronology. Although, of course, that official chronology has been questioned multiple times, and one of MatPat's better videos is doing just that. But yeah, if you know anything about Zelda, the timeline is actually quite convoluted and involves various branches from the main original game. Ooh, sorry about that. And we're still not done. Because, like I said, I got a lot of stuff. So, let's start with the stuff I got from the McFarlane Publishing booth. If you don't know what McFarlane Publishing is, if you're familiar with Bella Smart Pop series, this is an entire company that's built around that premise. Critical essays on various aspects of pop culture. And I could have blown $3,000 at this booth alone. But luckily I did not, and I was a little bit smarter with my money than that. Still, I dropped in total about $120 here for 5 books. But yeah, let's show them off, shall we? Okay. Cyberpunk Women, Feminism, and Science Fiction. Which, yes, that's exactly what it's about. Critical essays on the role of women in cyberpunk and how they reflect the progress of feminism in the sci-fi community. Politics of the Hunger Games. Not much really needs to be said about that. It's exactly what it sounds like. Which, there's already been reams and reams of stuff written about that, but anything that might be new, I'm interested in. Politics of Fantasy. Yeah, essays on ideology and gender in fiction, film, television, and game. And it covers Lord of the Rings, A Song of Ice and Fire, Harry Potter, True Blood, and Fallout 3. Yeah, why not have a collection on how we use escapist fantasy to reflect real life political events? A Quest of Her Own, which is about women in modern fantasy. So, a whole lot of heroine's journey kind of stuff. That's always interesting, especially if you're like me and you love female characters in fantasy, and Game Love, essays on play and affection, which is about how video games try to express various kinds of love. Fairly basic, but it's a topic that's often not talked about when talking about video games. There was also a book on the play-story divide in video game studies that I wanted to get, but when I went back I couldn't find it, so I'll have to get that another time. And also that would have been probably a little bit too much because, well, they had everything for 20% off. These books tend to go for about $30, so yeah. They're cheaper on Kindle. They're about 11 or 12 on Kindle. But yeah, that's an interesting company, and I love the material they produce as a critic. And now, let me be right back. Now to finish off our little expedition through my crap, let's finish off what all books I got. Okay, this one is one I know nothing about, but the title sounded interesting to me enough. Femme Noir. Female detective solving crimes in the Philip Marlowe kind of style. You know what I mean. Going around beating the shit out of people for information. Your typical manly noir hero crap. Here we go. A Sandman spin-off that you may not have heard of before. The Books of Fairy. I have this on my Kindle, actually. No, you ain't going to be able to find it online. I mean, on the Kindle store. You're going to have to torrent it and convert it yourself. But, yeah. It's about the fairies that we met in the A Midsummer Night's Dream story. Which, if you have not read Sandman, none of this is making any sense to you, but just trust me, it's a good fantasy book. Speaking of good fantasy books, the original Roy Thomas, Red Sonja. The she-devil with a sword. I don't think anything more needs to be said about that. And while we're on the subject of good fantasy series with strong female protagonists, Rat Queens, Volume 1 and Volume 2. This book is a riot. These broads are tough, they are varied, they are multicultural, they are multi-species, they are sarcastic, they are bitchy, they are more manly than the men in the fucking book. It's awesome. And you should be reading this if you like strong female characters, or if you're a big fan of high fantasy. Well, not high fantasy, this is more sword and sorcery, but if you're a fan of fantasy, you need to read Rat Queens. This book fucking rocks, dude. Okay. This one is one I've been looking for years, and I've never had the chance to get, and I've never had the chance to read. All I know is it's an adventure series, all ages, written by the amazing James Robinson, about a paranormal investigator's daughter who is trying to break into the business, but her dad won't let her, and eventually she has a chance to do just that. And I'm trying not to read the back blurb to know exactly how. I kind of want this one to be a surprise. It's called Leave It to Chance. She's 14, she's plucky, and it's supposed to be one of the best all-ages adventure books out there. This one I'm very intimately familiar with, but I've never seen the full collection yet, until now. Well, actually, I have. I just never got it at the time, and I haven't been able to find it since. This one is one of the lost classics from Alan Moore's DC imprint ABC, America's Best Comics. Grayshirt. You probably have not heard of this character. He's basically the Shadow, but written by Rick Veit. And yeah. And there's art in here by Dave Gibbons, David Lloyd, and even Frank Cho. And John Severin. So, yeah. Good idea. I love me good old-fashioned detective heroes like Batman, later like Frank Miller era Daredevil, of course the Shadow, those kind of guys, those kind of like noirish tough guys that have brains on them and can do both Sherlock Holmes and the Continental Op at the same damn time. This one is Empowered Volume 7. I sadly have never been able to find Volume 7. And I don't know why. But yeah, I need to do an entire video on Empowered for you to truly understand why you need to be reading this book. And eventually I will. It is that damn good. I am not doing hyperbole here. Empowered might be the best superhero book on the stands now. Period. I'm not joking about that. Empowered is fantastic. Especially if you know where it started, to know where it is now. Oh my god, that is amazing. I don't know how they did it. But Adam Warren is a genius. And the book is so good. Also, speaking of things that I've known about for a long time and have wanted to get, but I've never had the chance to get them, because every time I do, something ends up stopping me. The original 2-volume Ace Attorney collections. The official casebook Volume 1 and the official casebook Volume 2. This one's all about Phoenix. This one's all about Miles. Yeah. Like, when I first saw these, and that was back in 2009, I think it was, I had never even played a Phoenix Wright game. This was before it became really, really memeable. But I just looked at it, and I'm like, interesting character designs. And there's one aspect of my Crime Comics collection that is woefully neglected because there's not enough books about it, and that's courtroom drama. There is not enough stories like this out there to fit into my Crime Comics collection. And I've always felt that was a shame. That's jipping something important from the genre out of the collection. Well, now I have no excuse. I have courtroom drama for the collection. And to finish us off, here are the extra stuff. And let's start off with something that I kind of sort of unboxed yesterday, even though I knew what it was already. So there's no extra packaging with it, but consider this an unboxing anyway. Ooh, that one was bad. Sorry about that. What's this? What's this? It's got Triforce on it, and I think you know what it is. Yes, there was a company in town that at the convention that was selling ocarinas. Actually, no. No, it would be this way. I almost forget how the guy showed me you're supposed to do this, but... Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I haven't even really practiced yet, but... Yeah. I had to have one. First of all, I think the same company has a whole bunch of books on the Kindle for this thing, so I could learn how to do this. And that's the thing too. Who do you know owns an ocarina? I mean, yeah, you sometimes see the little like 6-hole ones for hidden into like the band in a bucket kits and shit like that, but nobody really takes those ocarinas that seriously. Here is a good 12-hole ocarina. Who do you know that owns one? Who do you know that plays one? Chances are, no one. So this is my chance to own and perhaps eventually learn a now rather obscure instrument. And it's Zelda. So, yay on me for that. And speaking of things that are Zelda related, ding. I've got myself a motherfucking Master Sword. It's not one of the painted ones that a lot of people at the con had. I also saw a bunch of the foam ones. No, the company that makes this makes them out of polypropylene. Actually, I'm not sure if this is one of the polypropylene ones or not. If it's just regular plastic, but yeah, they sell polypropylene sword props. And I saw them, and I was like, interesting. But I waited till today to jump on it because I was like, do I really want one? And the answer is yes, I really fucking wanted one. Because they're good. I mean, if you could actually get a handle on this thing, it's got the right length handle, it's a two-handed sword, it's lightweight, you can swing it around easily, but it does have enough heft on it where it feels like a blade. And if I had more money, I could get one with a custom paint job to actually make it look like a real Master Sword. But I didn't have the $60 to drop on it. This by itself is $30. The cheapest thing there is a polypropylene knife, pocket knife, for $15. But I was like, yeah, I'm not walking out of the convention today without that. And now comes the stuff that I said was going to be a bit tricky. So let's start with the stuff that's not so tricky. Shit. Come over here. And that's... Okay. So, the artist behind the covers for Batman Eternal was there as well. And I didn't buy a whole lot of art this year, but if people had small stuff for the right price, you bet your ass I did. And he was selling these postcard-sized prints for $1. So I had to have one. Catwoman, and he signed both of them. Armless, great muscle tone, gorgeous as ever. I said armless and then great muscle tone. You know what I mean, sleeveless. And yeah, she looks so badass there. And then Cassie Kane, Reborn, Black Bat. If you don't know my relationship with this character, I used to be one of the guest authors on a little webcomic called Castoons, where we basically use comic book characters to criticize the state of the comic book industry. And that was a lot of fun. And it made me fall in love with this character, who for many, many, many years, DC shat all over. I mean, her and her friend Stephanie Brown were the two most mistreated characters in the company for a good 5 years. And then Stephanie got her own turn to be Batgirl for 2 years, and it was very well received. Original fans of the character loved it. New fans ate it up. The creators liked it. Even Dan Didio, who's the one that seemed to have a personal hate on for Steph, seemed to really like the book. But because of the reboot, it ended a bit prematurely. Although the ending was satisfying. It left a few things loose, but it tied up most of the stuff. And yeah. But then the reboot, and then right before the reboot, they brought Cass back too. And it didn't go well for her at first, but it was starting to get better for her by the end with the Gates of Gotham series and her involvement in that. But again, the reboot kind of fucked over both characters because, once again, the company decided to sideline them for years. But here in the past 1.5 years or so, they brought both back. And fans are a little bit mixed on it, but it seems to be working out well for the most part. I just love the design. That is a good cast. And I wish I could remember the artist that did these. Did she? And no, she did not leave her imprint on them. But yeah, if I find her on DeviantArt or Tumblr, because I think she has one of them, or if anyone can help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, this girl was selling some of these postcard-sized prints herself, and I had to get them because they were $3 each. And let's start with this gorgeous Sailor Saturn. I love Sailor Saturn. Sailor Saturn has been one of my crushes since I was like 15 years old. And yeah, I had to have that. And another one of my later teen crushes was Raven. And that's a crush that's continued well into my adulthood. And she had a couple of these injured but not defeated cards. And I'm like, that's badass. I have to have it. And yeah. So that's the small art. Now we got to try to yeah. Give me just a second. Yeah, like I said, this thing is impossible to really get in the shot right. So let me try a bit more like that. It's not much, but it is of my favorite video game couple that's not really a couple, but they're a couple. And that's, of course, Z-Link, Zelda and Link. I saw this and I'm like, yeah, I have to drop money for this because this is gorgeous. Look at the detail. Look at the sensuality in Zelda's eyes. Like, yeah, she wants Link. And Link's like, you know you're gorgeous when you give me that look, right? It's like, it's so cheeky, but it's so them, and they are so in love, and it does my shipper heart good to have this. And I just realized that there's actually a couple more books that were buried under that I have to do. And yeah, this is basically a 1 hour overglorified unboxing, and I hope the fucking mic recorded this, because if not, I'm not doing it again. I will just give you guys a detailed list. But yeah. Okay, now to really finish this off. Victorian Secret, The Girls of Steampunk. I was hoping it was going to be like an actual... This one's from Antarctic Press. But I was hoping it was going to be a collection of stories about steampunk girls. It's not. It's a pinup book. But I do love me some girls and some good old Victoriana. And yeah, if you like pinup art and you like steampunk girls, it's $15. It's worth it. And then these I got at the Caliber Comics booth, and they are 2 books on the same subject, but going in vastly different directions on it. And that's comics writing. This one is communication with comic books, and it's your basic how to script kind of thing. And then there's the glorious collection. Oh, that's just a preview from Valiant that they gave you for free. The brilliantly absurd and awesome collection of blog writings by the deranged Dirk Manning, Right or Wrong, A Writer's Guide to Creating Comics. This is not your typical how to script book. This is how to deal with all the bullshit that you're going to face as a writer in the comic book industry. And I got him to sign it. I'm not showing off all my signatures because I only wanted to showcase the new stuff instead of stuff that I had signed that I've had for years. But yeah, I was there the first time that Dirk announced this was going to be a project in 2012, or was that 2011? It took him a while to actually get it printed. It's been out for about 2.5 years now. And it's based on his Right or Wrong blog. And it's filled with humor. It's filled with business absurdity. It's filled with legalese. It's filled with all the shit that you're not going to figure out from your typical how-to book. It's how to deal with everything industry related except the actual art of writing comics. But if you're going to be a writer in comics, like I hope to one day, you need this. You need something that's a guide on how to navigate all the crap in the industry. And thank you, Mr. Manning, for writing that. If you have never met Dirk Manning, first of all, he's a nice dude, and second of all, he has one of the most interesting looks you'll ever see in comics. I'm not talking about just the back picture, because that's his typical press picture. But in reality, he's, I think, Hispanic. He's got slick back hair. He kind of looks like a sly used car salesman. But that kind of fits into his simultaneously mischievous but horror-obsessed persona. Because that's what he writes. He writes horror books. And they tend to be good horror books. But, yeah, if you write horror, especially in today's market where horror is actually kind of popular, you need to be that kind of greasy used car salesman in order to get your stuff noticed. You need to be able to sweet talk an audience into buying it. And Dirk has that ability. He's a good public speaker. He's got the right look. He's got the right friendly personality. Like, he could sell you a phone book and you would buy it. And yeah, that's all of my crap from this year's C2E2. It was fun going. It's sad that I didn't meet any of you guys. It's kind of sad that I didn't run into Toon there, because I thought for sure Toon was going to be there with CM Punk there. But no, he's probably saving up and getting everything ready for his plans for Winnie City Con, which, again, sadly, I don't think I'll be able to make. But I hope to do this again next year, or at least at one of those two cons next year. And hopefully I will see you guys then. Excuse me. Sorry. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had not been in 4 years, so it was good to finally get back. And I learned I can do a con in under and get a lot of stuff in under one paycheck. All of this stuff cost me about $650. And there's some other bullshit in there that goes towards expenses too, like the fact that the South Shore did not run a train to McCormick on Friday, so they dropped us off at the fucking Field Museum and had us either cab or walk. My dumbass chose to walk instead of spend $10 on the cab, and it took me 40 minutes to get there, when if I would have taken the cab, it would have taken 4 minutes, because I'm a dumbass. But yeah, also, food is ridiculously overpriced. Like, Connie's Pizza is good pizza. It's not $6 pizza. And their pretzels are not $5.50 pretzels. And you should not be charging $3 for a bottle of fucking Coke. But that's everywhere you go these days. Any event, any convention, any concert, food and drink are stupidly overpriced. I can't do anything about that. That's an entire rant video in itself. But yeah, this was a great experience. I loved going. I will try to do it again next year. Or if not, I will try to hit Winnie City Con next year, because I'm sure that'll be good too. And I will see you guys again this weekend. Bye!